Okay, so moving on from nationalism here in this PowerPoint, another major cause here, long-range cause of this war was the act of imperialism that had been undertaken by primarily these European countries that we're talking about here. And you probably got the sense here that World War I is largely a European contest. We'll see that it becomes a world war because of this force of imperialism. So what does that mean? Well, imperialism, we're talking here about countries of significant military power, usually some economic might, extending their control and influence over other countries. And in sort of in some cases, it's a hostile takeover of nations. In other cases, it's more of a friendly sort of joining of forces here, where individual countries become absorbed into what then becomes this massive empire, a group of nations that have shared military and economic interests. And that's usually the reason why less powerful countries agree to support an empire, because they get the benefit here of economic trade, and they also get the benefit of protection from the sort of the strength in numbers mentality here. But it was pretty clear that in the late 1800s that this was a growing force in the world, and undoubtedly the largest empire in the world at this time was that of England. The British Empire, as it was called here, roughly 1 in every 4 people on Earth was a part of that empire, and Britain had control over almost a quarter of the world's landmass. So that's where this cartoon is applicable. You can see like an octopus here. We've got England reaching its arms out across the world and grabbing onto pieces of land. And down here we can see here's Canada. Yeah, we were a part of this empire too. So for us, our entry into this war, our involvement has a lot to do with the fact that we were a part of this British Empire. Okay, but all of those European countries that we're going to be talking about here, that you'll be looking at on the map of Europe, they all had some empire, an empire of some sort. Okay, and the problem, of course, that imperialism creates, and I'll talk about Africa in a second. The problem that imperialism creates is that there's only so much land in the world. And if you have a desire to want to expand your empire, if all of that land has been gobbled up, I mean, how are you going to do that? Well, there's only one easy solution, and that is, of course, to fight for it or to go to war. Now, naturally, no empire wants to lose territory, so it will not, it's not going to happen without a fight. Okay, so we can see how that is a contributing cause to World War I. I'll come back to this Africa situation in a second.